Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Howard Yu. This is a welcome message for students and parents who have joined me on the SG55 Maths lecture on the 10th of August. So today is the 23rd of August, 2020. I'd like to do a follow-up with the students and parents. First of all, the past week has been the beginning of the Prelim 2020 week for many students, I believe. And coming Tuesday this week, which is 2 days later, many students will be being tested on the Prelim Science. So I'd like to wish you, together with our new Minister of Education, Mr. Lawrence Wong, who is also my MP in UT here. We wish you good health and all the best in your prelim exam this week. Remain calm and answer confidently. Stay joyful and relax. Let us be united as one nation, regardless of our background. Total defense. Together we keep Singapore strong. Everyone counts. Every idea is valuable. So I've told students that in my book, which some of them have purchased, in fact, several of them, on page 38, there's this Master Chef recommendation, which I highly recommend students to memorize these very useful scientific explanations that will help them secure 20 marks in the open-ended questioning. For example, in here, the water gains heat from the fire or heat sources or high intensity light whatsoever and evaporated to become water vapor. The water vapor, which is at a higher temperature, will lose heat to the cooler inner surface of whatsoever, usually is a plastic sheet or metal sheet, and condense to form tiny droplets of water. And similarly, another example here, we can see this is a very realistic example where you order a hot bowl of soup in a restaurant or at home where your parents serve you. Sometimes they ask students to explain how this mist is being formed. So you can answer by saying the mist formed by the hot soup vapor with higher temperature actually meeting with the cooler surrounding air or temperature with lower or air with lower temperature and lose heat or lost heat to air. So they must identify the heat source and loses heat to whatever the thing. So in this example is the warmer water vapor lose heat to the cooler air or air with lower temperature and condense to form tiny water droplets. So remember, during the 10th of August free maths lecture, there were about 35 students who have subscribed, and I wish these children well. Those of you who have not purchased for this book, I highly recommend you to do so because you can learn many valuable lessons from inside. And these are the happy children learning. And also, I think there are two students, I was too busy to allow them into the room. So apology to these two students because that day, just like 30 minutes before, there's some parents register at the last moment. So I wish that everyone can join in future training. So I'm from One Academy and I've been coaching students passionately for the past 10 years in my academy and also 23rd year in my education service. So continuing here this part, for example, you know, usually like those who wear spectacles like myself, when we exit the cold environment of a vehicle or car or Grab taxi, this mist will form on our spectacles. So this is how they explain. You can visit here or you can take a screenshot or pause my video here and fill in the blank. So it's because the warmer surrounding air loses heat to the cooler surface of our spectacle lens, forming tiny water droplets which appear as mist. So another example here, hot coffee in a metal cup will lose heat faster than the same volume and temperature of hot coffee in a plastic cup. This is because metal is a better conductor of heat than plastic. So these are actually very common answers which examiners expect from students. They have to answer in scientific terms like identify the heat source, what is the object that loses heat or gain heat, and then if they lose heat, they condense to form whatsoever. So this is quite standard. That's why you must memorize this. And also this is a very typical example of collection of so-called pure water or clean water from seawater or salt water. So they can scan the QR code and visit the YouTube channel to also look at the specific example. So this is the standard suggested answer which I've written in my book on page 11. During the day, the heat from the sun causes the seawater to gain heat and evaporate. As the temperature drops in the night, the warmer water vapor lost heat to the cooler inner surface of the plastic sheet and condense to form tiny water droplets. Gravity pulls the water droplet along the downward slope of the plastic sheet and drip into the cup. As you can see that I have specifically bold the words, and these are the parts where the examiner are looking for. So you must identify the heat source, like the sun, okay, causes the seawater to what? To gain heat, and then it will evaporate. So the warmer water vapor will lose heat to where? To the cooler inner surface of this plastic sheet and do what? And condense to form tiny water droplets. So I urge students to memorize these, to get a book and learn from the suggested answer here. Another typical example, we also analyze how students answered wrongly in previous example or in previous examinations. So we can see that this student actually has a very wrong concept because he or she mentioned that the cooler air rush out and condense with the warmer surrounding air. So actually cooler air doesn't condense. It's actually the warmer air or air with higher temperature. So the key concept here is mentioned here. The air in a room with higher temperature lost heat to the air in a freezer with lower temperature, condensed to form tiny water droplets, which appears as white clouds. So these type of questions appear frequently in P5, P6 exam, and also in prelim and past year's paper. Okay, here is another good example on page 50. Later in my training, I would urge those students who already purchased my book to do the questions from page 50 to 72, and there are full solutions given. So here you can see here, this example, I like to annotate for you to see so that you can understand and appreciate what I mean. Okay, in this question, this experimental is being set up and the person observed that when the clip was closed, water from the funnel could not enter. So the water from here could not enter here. They have to explain why. So actually it's quite simple because air occupies space and could not escape. Therefore the water can't come in. But the tricky part is here. State two observations that will happen in the basin. Okay, there's a condition here in the basin. Because many students, if they are not careful, they will mention that water will drip into the conical flask. Because they did not ask students or candidates to observe or to state what observations in the conical flask. The requirement is state what happens in the basin. So actually the solutions are, you can see bubbles rising from the end of the glass tube. Okay, as the air bubbles rise, they will occupy space in the inverted beaker here, and this will force the water from the beaker to exit, and eventually will cause the water level in the basin to rise. So this is a second observation. Students or candidates should state that the water level in the basin would rise. So this is, what I mean is they need to be very careful in reading the questions. Okay, so let's proceed to the next one. Okay, this example, as you know that this year for PSLE, three topics will be removed from P6. So I'll be expecting more questions being tested on forces. So as you can see here, this question here being asked, there are 4 different types of spring. Name the forces acting on the load. So it's very easy, it's gravitational force and elastic spring force. Okay, interestingly, part B here is application. Which spring, L, O, V, or E, is most suitable to be used to ensure that her setup can capture video recordings of even birds or small masses. So students need to understand what this graph means. And what they can do, they can scan the QR code here, and they can actually visit my YouTube channel, which I like to do screen sharing here for students to visit this question. Let me turn on the sound.
The elasticity of spring, you highlight this part, the vertical axis, the length of spring, and the horizontal mass of load. So you notice these four springs all start at the same length, as indicated by the orange arrow. So as the mass of the load increases, we notice how come D and E, it seems like they become shorter, right? So because of that, they are called compression spring. However, the other two, let's look at the other two. They become longer, right? Can you see?
Yeah.
As more load increase, so you can write down here, became longer. And these are extension spring. Yeah, with this information, this will help you to answer the question later. So you write these two notes here. Okay.
So you can
name the forces acting on the load.
Let me fast forward.
What are the forces on the other side become longer? All right. Okay, now this one, no problem, right?
No problem.
Yeah, read for us this one below. That's speed. So when the bird is feeding on the, so you must understand how this thing works, right? So when the bird lands there, this part will touch each other to form a closed circuit. Current will flow through here, okay, and that will activate the video recorder. So now that's how the work is spring E. Not actually correct. Can be a closed circuit will be formed.
So what students can do, they actually can subscribe or visit my YouTube channel to have this step-by-step revision, you can say, to help them answer these type of so-called more challenging questions. So let me continue with my training. So we were actually at a slide below here. This question, I believe. Okay, on current, yes. So let's continue. And those who got or purchased my book, they can refer to page 82 to 88 for so-called the idiot-proof solutions. So these are answers or solutions specifically written with key points where examiners are looking for. And then just to revisit these questions, because this question I find is quite interesting. Because students need to identify there are two types of spring. One is the extension spring, one is the compression spring. So all start at the same length. As you can see, I've used a red color to indicate the answer for these questions on part B. Because the student they need to explain the answer why they choose a specific spring. So in the solutions provided, or in the idiot-proof solution provided, they must mention spring E, and they must mention this reason, or they need to explain for the same mass. So for example, here I use this arrow to indicate this mass being placed on spring E, okay? You can see that if I use the same mass compared to spring V, spring E compresses more than spring V. Look at the animation now. I'm going to put another arrow up. Okay, this is the length of spring created by the mass here for spring V, indicated by the green arrow. Okay, pay attention. I'm going to put another arrow up. And this is the length of the spring for the same mass when placed on spring E. So if you compare the green arrowhead and the yellow arrowhead, you will notice that the yellow arrowhead records a smaller length. Hence, that's the answer. Spring E compresses more than spring V. Okay? If you look at the diagram, we know the circuit diagram here, or this diagram. So because if the spring is shorter, in this case, spring E, the contact will be able to touch each other easier. Okay, therefore, you have to make the conclusion. Therefore, the contact can touch each other more easily when birds or small masses land on the platform. Okay, part C is for another questions on page 52 of the book, talking about the bathroom scale, because bathroom scale also uses compression spring. But that question I asked them, which spring to choose if they want to measure heavy masses. So firstly, they must identify only these two, either V or E. So from the same graph, they will see that spring V compresses less than spring E for the same mass. Therefore, spring V can withstand the compression of very heavy masses. So there's another way of testing students' understanding and using different springs for different applications. So this is a part of a One Academy SEAL training, which is Scientific Experiential Applicational Learning, SEAL team. And this is another questions on forces and weight. They can also scan the QR code to understand more of this training in my book. That's why I say encourage students to join the One Academy YouTube channel, Scan and Learn. And this is the book which I highly recommend students and parents to purchase, especially those in P5, because you can use this book for 2 years. And those who have just received my book after the training, I highly recommend you quickly do page 50 to 72, and then refer to the idiot-proof solutions on page 82 to 88 to correct your own answers. For those who have not purchased, you can actually do the mail order. I think now for prelim preparation, a bit too late. But what you can do is for the final battle, which is the PSLE Science examinations scheduled on 6 October 2020. So not to worry, as I'm here to help every student to gain confidence and competencies in answering science questions, which is my passion. So that's why on this special day, which is on a Monday and Tuesday, because this week is so-called the 1 week September, so-called exam preparation week. I understand that most P6 students, they may need to return to school from Wednesday, some school from Wednesday, some from Thursday. That's why I have a so-called like sacrifice my off day on Monday and Tuesday to conduct this training. I've been doing this training for the past 6 years in my center at either Beauty World Plaza, the previous center, and now moved to a bigger place and Beauty World Center. So I have only 7 seats for this workshop. And the timing is from 9 a.m. to 1:50 p.m. So I plan it very well. Just choose one day. So after every 50 minutes of coaching, I will give the student and myself a 10 minutes break. And then from 10 a.m. to 10:25, we have a 25-minute recess. So during this recess, I will bring them from my center at level 2 to level 4. There's a food court and open air space to cool down, to warm up, because my center is central air conditioning. The temperature can be fluctuates between 22 to 23 degrees centigrade. So we go there to defrost and to refresh, take in fresh air. And after the recess, we come back to continue the training. So same thing, after every 15 minutes, I'll give them 10 minutes break, toilet break. Toilet is quite near to my unit there. And then in total, they have 240 minutes of solid training. That's been 240 divided by 64 solid hours. And then because of the diversity of topic, I've chosen these specific topics for this 4 hours of solid training. I'll be covering forces and energy, plants, mainly the reproduction of plants, plant dispersal, Heat is a major topic, as you can see in my analysis for the past 3 years PSLE exam paper. Heat is a major topic, sometimes as much as 11% of the total marks allocated for heat. And matter. Matter is a P4 topic, also commonly tested. Some students in P6, they've forgotten how to answer. And then on electrical system, like bulbs arranged in series and parallel, which to choose, conductors and insulators of electricity. And this one is very unique. Experimental investigation involving graphs and control setups. Like the two previous examples I've mentioned to you, using the experimental data to answer the questions. So now I have still 7 seats, and the course fee is stated here, net 160. After 29 August will be 180. Okay, because due to MOE's new safe distancing requirement, in my biggest classroom, I can only seat 5 students, but I want to help more students. So I did a system test last week, okay, with my helper. The other 2 students will be in the other adjacent room. I will turn on this laptop so they will see me live telecast. Actually, they can hear from me because it's only like 3.5 meters away. I will open both doors. But to make it more realistic and don't have any lag, I will also turn on this laptop for the 2 students in the other room. So who will be these 2 students? So definitely those who register early will have the privilege to join me in the biggest room with the 5 students. Perhaps the last 2 students will be in the 2 of them will be in this medium-sized room. However, those who register early, they may volunteer to go to the other room, which is actually slightly colder because their room is smaller in size. So we also learn about heat, and because of the cooler air, that's why the temperature is slightly lower. So you can quickly register for this training. There are 2 days, so total there are 14 seats. And those of you who register for this training, the book actually is given free. So what I can do is, for example, you intend to have the book, and for this training, you can make the payment for this training. I will mail you the book first, so you can do the read up. Okay, so the closing date is the 2nd September. Do register fast because there were previous years, some parents block book. So there was 1 year, I remember one parent actually block book 14 seats for the students in the SCGS. And then 1 year, one parent block book 7 seats for students coming all the way from Poi Ching and Tao Nan School. So these are the past year record. And to let you see, before COVID, this is the sitting arrangement in the biggest classroom. Usually I house 7 students here, okay, because this room actually can seat up to 8. And now it's the current COVID situation. Mr. Yu wearing the face shield because MOE allows instructors or trainers to wear face shield without face mask so that our training, our delivery will not be hampered by the muffled sound. And all the students will be wearing face masks. I mean, practice safe distancing. And later I'll show a small video clip. So during this period, remain calm and confident. I wish you all the best for your prelim. And we can definitely overcome all odds together. Join the SEAL team. We fight together. And those who like to register can screenshot just now the slide, which I've taught earlier. And then now coming back to another video session on the so-called the center where we'll be so-called visiting One Academy. I would like to upload this quite soon. Okay, this is the entrance of my One Academy at Beauty World Center 0221. I did this video to actually advise parents on the safe entry protocol, which we follow strictly according to the MOE requirement as a social responsible entity. Students will queue up here and they will scan the safe entry before entering One Academy or E3 and come here. This is the temperature measurement The temperature reading will be taken here before they enter, and this is a safe distancing sitting at a corridor. The blue marking is a 1 meter distance away, so there's one student here and then another student here. And this is one room for consultation, 2 students. And we move ahead here. This is the second room. Okay, this is the room where the other 2 students will be seated. So I will place my laptop here so that they can see me teaching while I'm actually delivering a live session there. So it's a live telecast. So one will be seated here, one will be here, and the laptop will be placed here. Distancing marking here. And let's enter this room. This will seat a maximum of 5 students. And this is the placing here. We have sanitizer and disinfectant here. And this is the teaching environment. And look here, this is our thermometer here for temperature taking and hand sanitizer for student to use. So I hope that you have enjoyed this brief training, and I urge students who have already received the book, quickly do page 50 to 72. And those who need extra help, actually you can scan the QR code inside. And those who have not bought the book, I highly recommend you quickly buy the book. And those who like to come for the training, quickly register with me. My hotline is 8268-5299. So I wish you all the best for your prelim tomorrow. I think most of you will be taking your mathematics paper tomorrow, right? Or the Chinese paper. So come Tuesday is the science paper for most of you, and I'll be praying for you. I wish you good health. Keep fit, stay healthy, and be joyful. God bless.